killing of a 29-year-old Briton, Faye Mooney, and another Nigerian, and the abduction of 3 others on Friday, the 19th of April 2019. Note with sympathy and total dismay that the wave and spate of armed banditry and kidnapping in most parts of the country, from the north, south, east, and western part of the country, without a formidable and technological approach to fighting the heinous crime. Worried that in recent times the attacks on individuals, houses, and villages have become one too many, and there is no single person that has been brought to book as a result of the wanton killings, and the so much emphasized effort at combating the crime is not yielding fruitful results. More worried that due to the fact that perpetrators of these hideous activities tend to be gaining more courage to perpetrate their dastardly acts without fear of confrontation due to their acclaimed superior firepower. Further worried that the unfortunate event of 19th April 2019, where armed gunmen raided a resort called Kajuru Resort in Kajuru, local government area of Kaduna State, a Briton, Ms. Faye Mooney, and a Nigerian, Mr. Matthew Oguchi, were killed and 3 others abducted, has put more fears into Nigerians. Ms. Faye Mooney was a humanitarian worker with an NGO called Mercy Corps, who had worked in war-torn countries like Iraq and Kosovo, and helping the needy, the vulnerable, and internally displaced persons. Recall that earlier in the year, President Muhammad Buhari has ordered senior security chiefs to curb kidnapping in the region when 4 Western tourists, 2 Americans and 2 Canadians, were abducted in Kaduna in an ambush in January that left 2 of their police escorts dead. Concern that the recurrence of this banditry, where foreigners and tourists are involved, may put Nigeria's diplomatic relations on the line, thereby raising red flags to other tourists who may wish to visit Nigeria. Concern further that the northern parts of Nigeria has become a theater of killings and kidnappings, especially states like Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kaduna, and Niger. Kajuru in Kaduna State is notorious for killings and kidnappings. Recall the death of Agon Adara, Dr. Mewadara Fel Galadima, dead last year, who was killed by kidnappers after collecting ransom. It is pathetic to note that this area has become hostile to both visitors and the inhabitants who have resorted to collecting ransom. It is pathetic to note that this area has become hostile for both visitors and inhabitants who have resorted to internally displaced persons camps. Some elders of this area are right now cooling off in various prisons in Kaduna State. In Bindungwari, life has become unbearable for the people because over 40 villages came under attack recently, and in some instances with kidnappers sending notices before carrying out their attack. These people have killed thousands, including children, raped women, and have gone further to stop the villagers from going to their farms. Worthy of concern also is the spate of killing and kidnapping that has found base in Zamfara and Niger States. In Munya local government of Niger State, over 20 housewives were kidnapped, and areas such as Kushaka, Kurebe, Pandogari, Gidigori, Kusharki, Kuregi, and Alawa, Kwaki, Bataro, Chukuba, Shafa, Kauri, Azazzaga, in Rafi local government are under serious siege by kidnappers. Other areas under siege include Kakangi, Gayam, Danganji, Maganda, Dawari, and Kazagi. Distinguished colleagues, you will be astonished to hear that the kidnappers had the audacity to ride and warn a member representing Bindungwari local government in the House of Representatives, Honorable Hassan Adamu, warning him of his activities, thereby forcing him to evacuate his family from the area. Distinguished colleagues, as I present this motion, negotiation is going on to pay the ransom of the abductees of the Kajuru incident. The abductors had earlier demanded for 60 million naira as ransom, consoled by the recent presence of a joint patrol team of the police, Army, Air Force, and some paramilitary outfits on the Abuja-Kaduna Express Road, and even though the hitherto deserted road, which forced people to resort to using the train, is bubbling back to life, these unfortunate acts have continued unabated. Determined to change this ugly narrative, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot fold its hands and watch the degeneration of Nigeria's security because, in the words of Adam's Jane, the good we secure for ourselves is precarious and uncertain until it is secured for all of us and incorporated in our common life. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to the prayers. 1. Observe a minute silence in honor of the departed souls. Urge the security agencies to intensify the search for the perpetrators and bring them to book. Urge the government to set up inter-agency task force to tackle cases of banditry and kidnapping in Kaduna, Katsina, Zamfara, and Niger States. Urge security agencies to give special security cover to foreign workers and tourists. Urge security agencies to deploy the use of drones and interceptors in tracking kidnappers asking for ransom. Urge community leaders, traditional rulers, and all stakeholders to cooperate with security agencies. Urge the telecommunication companies to provide security agencies with information in areas where there are kidnappings. Urge the Senate to send a delegation to the British Embassy and condole the British government. And urge the federal government to write a condolence letter to the family of Ms. Fayemoni. I so move.
Deputy Senate President.
And to thank the sponsor, Senator Shem Sani, for allowing me and most of our colleagues to be co-sponsors of this motion. Having said this, let me use the opportunity also to send my condolences to the families of the victims and to all Nigerians who are today living in fear over kidnapping. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the tragedy of what has happened is that this is not the first time a non-Nigerian is falling victim to kidnappers in Nigeria, especially the construction workers. Today, when they are bidding for contracts, especially the foreign contractors, they always impute into their cost some amount to use as ransom when their workers are kidnapped. This, therefore, is increasing the cost of construction in Nigeria. And so it means, therefore, that we must take this very seriously because the implications are so many. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is obvious that with what has happened in Kaduna and what has happened in other places, Nigerians will continue to be profiled abroad as those who cannot be trusted. It affects innocent Nigerians who travel out of Nigeria. And so we need to do something about this. As has been said, food security is also affected because people have abandoned their farms. It's no more safe to go to the farm anywhere in Nigeria because of the fear of being kidnapped. Those who would like to come to Nigeria as a tourist place, we now have have to think twice before coming to Nigeria. So it's therefore affecting our tourism. And it's also affecting our direct foreign investment. So there are so many implications for us as a country. That's why we need to do something about this. And this has been sustained over time. And it doesn't appear to me that we're getting it right. So we must take drastic measures in order to address this problem. And I believe too, sir, that we need to share the experience of those who have been victims of this kidnapping. They have so many stories to tell our security agencies that can help them to deal with this situation. Because sometimes people are kidnapped, ransoms are paid, they are released, and then walk back to their homes. They never share the experience with anybody. In fact, this morning, I was reading about a victim who was kidnapped with about 35 others between Abuja and Kaduna. They were marched through a forest for upwards of six to about 12 hours. They took like 12 hours to get to their destination. And where is this destination? It turned out to be a colony of kidnappers. Kidnappers, they had their own different parts of that community where they keep their victims. And so eventually they were released, or some of them were released. They took another 8 hours to the point where they were picked up by their relatives. If they share this kind of information with security agencies, I'm sure it can help to find out where this kind of colony exists between Kaduna and Abuja. In fact, one of the stories the ladies told in that narrative was that one of the people that was kidnapped happened to be a custom officer. And so the kidnappers were interested in him because they believed that he's part of the government, and the government is not doing anything to help the ordinary people. So they kept beating the custom officer. So this lady now suggested to the custom officer to tell the kidnappers that he was indeed a fake custom officer, that he wasn't a real custom officer. That he just printed the identity of custom officers to help him do his business, which is smuggling. That he wasn't actually a custom officer. And that was what actually helped his matter. So they had to bring down the amount he was supposed to bring from 10 million to 5 million. So if we have this kind of conversation, zone by zone, with those who have been kidnapped in the past, and hear their stories, I believe that this can help our security agency. But to ignore them and believe as if it did not happen means that next day it will happen to some other people. So we need to take notes from all those who have been kidnapped in the past, either from state by state or zone by zone. And this will help us to build some information bank that can help our security agencies in dealing with this matter. And today I also believe that there are a lot of technology we can deploy in order to help us to deal with this issue of kidnapping. But we don't seem to be taking advantage of it, or they are being sabotaged. So the time has come for us to take this seriously. And of course here we've been singing the song of decentralizing our police. Until we do that, we'll continue to battle with this problem. Time has come for us to fast-track the existing bill in this National Assembly to introduce a decentralized policing so that at least states will be able to have their own police and deal with the issue of kidnapping as it affects their own locality the best way they can. Because this has turned to be a matter of embarrassment for us as a country. And until we begin to fight these things, we're going to have problems. And finally, sir, it is also important for us to take this seriously because of the national image that we need to protect. And if it means declaring a national state of emergency across Nigeria to enable the government to put in place measures that will address this once and for all, I think it is worth doing. So this is something we need to do seriously. And I believe that with what has happened to the Britain, it is important that we show the whole world that we are eager to solve this problem and to do it as quickly as possible. So my heartfelt condolences goes again to the families, both the British people and then to the Nigerians who were affected. And we believe and pray that this will not happen again in our country.
This motion is one out of many motions that keep coming before these chambers. So much so that nowadays we don't ask whether a minute's silence has been said in the chambers. We ask whether or who a minute's silence was said for. Because it has become routine now. Every day we come and observe a minute's silence in respect of killings that have been going on in this country. Incidentally, this incident that happened in Kajuru, I was going through the social media the other day when there was a travel agency that advertised for a holiday package in Kajuru Castle over the Easter period. And somebody was asking on the same page, what of the killings that are going on? And then the agency replied that no, the killing is taking place somewhere not close to Kajuru. And I was even thinking to myself whether one day I'll pay a visit to that place to see whether it's a place that one could go and have a rest. And then this thing happened. Mr. President, the implication of this thing is very, very far-reaching because it goes outside the shores of this country. It affects the tourism of this country. Because very soon now we hear Britain issuing a travel advisory, warning its nationals against traveling to Nigeria because the country is not safe. We'll also hear US issuing a travel advisory to its nationals, warning against going to Nigeria because the country is unsafe. Mr. President, this thing is becoming, Nigeria is becoming a killing field. Every day we are treated to tales of murder, mayhem, kidnapping. In fact, armed robbery is no longer now in vogue. It is kidnapping because it's easier to make money through kidnapping than through armed robbery. So, Mr. President, it's a very, very sad commentary on the affairs of this country, the level to which security situation has degenerated. It will have its effect on investment. They say that investment is a coward. Whenever there is trouble anywhere, he wouldn't like to go there. So investment certainly will not come to Nigeria when we have this kind of challenges. Also, tourism will be affected. And these are areas in which revenue can accrue to the government coffers, and then this source of revenue is now being blocked. What do we do as a country? How do we put an end to this thing? Somebody suggested that we need to do something drastic. Yes, I support that. We do something drastic, something that we have not contemplated before. Because if this matter is getting out of hand, we need to do something that is unusual, something that we have not done before. We need to mobilize the entire armed forces. Right now, Kaduna axis is becoming endemic for kidnapping. Why don't we mobilize about 2 divisions of our army to go and surround this enclave that is the heaven of kidnappers? Give them a week, surround the entire area, and see what happens to the kidnappers. But so long as we treat it as a routine matter, a routine security issue, we send mobile police or army and they go there, after a week they come back. I don't think we'll find a solution to it. We need to do something that is very drastic. And we shouldn't be shy of asking for help. If there's any foreign country that has the technology or has the resources that can assist this country, let us not be shy of asking that country for help. Let them help us, because it's a problem that is trying to get out of hand and out of control. We don't lose our sovereignty by asking for a country for help. Even if we have to pay, let us pay that country for it to help us with the technology that we can deploy in order to ensure that this problem comes to an end. Mr. President, this is a very, very serious matter, and I feel saddened that every day we have to come here to observe a minute's silence. I think it's time for us to take the bull by the horns and ask the federal government to do something drastically, something out of the box, to think out of the box and find a solution to this problem. I thank you, Mr. President.
Our Nigerian brothers. Having said that, I want to strongly align myself with this motion. However, just like Senator Lidani has just said now, that this is one too many. We come to the chambers every day praying for people that we can secure. Mr. President, let us be very real here. The security apparatus of Nigeria is overwhelmed. And the issue of security is not for any branch of the government, it's for all of us here. I've always raised these issues that it's not enough to just come and bring a story of losing some innocent lives. What are we doing about it? At the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what have we done to make sure that we contribute or we become a partner into securing this nation? Mr. President, distinguished senators, for every life that we lost or for every security that misfortune that we have in this country, 10 and a large number have been abated. The security people of this country, the personnel, are doing their best, and we lose them in their drops. We knew what was happening 3-4 weeks ago, and along the same Kaduna, Benugwari, Zamfara axis, Katsina, where I come from, and we know what is happening today. There is a total number of reduction of what is happening. It has not been going on. But come on, let's be real here and let's face the truth. As a Senate, we should have a legislation, we should bring a legislative framework that would enhance the security of this country. We can't just be coming here every day making the same thing, same complaint and think that we can change the narrative. We can't. We should take an articulate position. We should marshal out a plan from the chambers of the Senate so that when the government fails to implement those, we know that the government has failed us. But with the security, with less than 1.5 million personnel in I'm talking about immigration, military, Navy, Air Force, we can't secure this country. We are a country of over 160 million. So it is a wishful thinking for anybody to come here and think that the number of security that we can secure this country. Mr. President, please, Honorable distinguished Senator, let's be real here and let's not just come here every day and mourn people and pray for them. Let's take an articulate, let's marshal out a plan from the chambers of the Senate to secure this country. Because my case here, or my fear here, is that even the people that we entrust our security with, we are losing them. We are losing them by their day. Just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, we lost about 3 mobile policemen in an active duty along the same axis. Nobody mentioned them here. Are they not living, or are they not, is one soul better than the other? So, just like Senator Lidani has said, I'm totally in agreement with what his argument, that we should come together. But let it not be that every day we just come here with motions and bills and come to the chambers of the Senate and discuss them and pray and go. If the Senate is very serious, the Nigerian Senate is very serious about Nigerian security, we have to come in contact because it's a collective thing. If we lose any Nigerian, it's not the executive that loses, it's not the judiciary that is, it's the Nigerian. When we are losing revenue, the revenue is not going to one part of the country, or it's not going to one arm of government, it's going to the entire area. When our images are battered internationally, it's the image of Nigerians. It doesn't have color or tribe or religion or which government in power. So security goes beyond all these parameters. So we have to take time and do what is right for this country now that we are facing these challenges. This challenge is worse than Boko Haram because a Boko Haram case, we know the enemies we are fighting and we know where to meet them. These are people that carries AK-47 and goes into the corners. They are part of us. And unless we all come together and see this as a collective problem, we cannot solve it. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, please, let's not finish this discussion and argument without having to discuss on ways out of coming out of this long jam. Because as long as we just come here and flash that we lost a Britain and with some other Nigerians, and we are discussing ransom here, we will not solve the problem. Let the Nigerian Senate articulate a plan today, or starting from today, that we should have a minimum number of 5 million troops to secure this country. A minimum, we can do it, then we provide for the funding in our budget. We do the funding. so that we can secure this country. But we cannot come and be playing games with these issues of losing lives. This is one too many. Please, let's do something concrete so that we avoid it. Thank you very much, Mr.
And there are a lot of issues that we need to address because the way the series of killings are going on. Now, and that's why we brought it today, and in line with the last speaker, is that we must begin to look at what are the solutions. Why I'm coming in now is because I don't want everybody to get up and just, speak without us talking about what is the way forward. Now, when we talk about way forward, we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to talk as really senators in this upper chamber, because in addressing these issues, we need to be frontal on what has led us to where we are today. And we must not see it through our political party platform and see it as a problem that all of us need to address. And where there is fault, we must be bold enough to say where the fault is. And where there are sanctions that need to be taken, we must be bold as well to say so. I mean, you're all in this chamber for 1 year. We could not even communicate or converse or engage with Nigerian police. You all here where the head of the police refused to even come before here. How then can we work together to make things move forward? Because at the end of the day, we must begin to sit down with those in charge and say, what do we need to do? How do we help you? Even if we want to recruit, we can't do it from here. We need guidance. They must be able to tell us, this is what we need. So we must, but I agree with the last speaker, those who are contributing, let us contribute with solutions. Let us contribute with what is the way forward? What do we need to do? That is the only way we can truly show that we are serious, and that's the only way we can honor those who have died in coming up with what is the way forward. Because here's a lady that used to work in Iraq and Kosovo. She didn't die in Iraq and Kosovo, but it's when she came to Nigeria. That does not portray this country in any way at all. And as Senator Lidanise and DSP says, there's going to be questions of people coming to invest in a country like this. And today, Abuja, Kaduna road, everybody has left it. As I was told now, everybody's going by train. Nothing is happening to address that. I think these are things that we all need to list them, and those contributing, let us come with solutions. But in doing that, please, you must be bold enough to put where the blame is and what solutions we need to. Senator Keita, I've not recognized you, please. So let us, but on a serious, if we want to politicize it, we will not make forward. I think we need to decide whether we want to really find a solution or we just want to play to the gallery. So, and I think if we know we want to find solutions, then let us, look at it and address and come up with suggestions that will make things better. In the past, kidnappings used to be done in the cities. Now you're having villagers too, people going to local governments. It's a big problem, and we need to find what do we do. And so please, those who are contributing, please try and contributing, as I say, as Nigerian, as senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so that we can come up with some recommendations that we can add to the prayers. So I'll take a contribution from this. Senator Boucher.
It pains me because on a daily basis, the matter keeps surfacing. It will interest my colleagues to know that Nigeria is one of even the most unsafest place to stay in the world now. Unfortunately, the consequences or the resultant effects of the actions of this bandit lies in wait for us in the future. Because like you said, Mr. President, the matter is no longer urbanized now. It's moved to the rural areas. And farmers no longer go to farms. The long-term effect will be catastrophic. Now, I don't want to go into the dangers ahead, but like you said, let us discuss the way forward. Until recently, from my own community, that my confidence in the security operatives around there was restored when I saw a number of them gone down, I think about 5 or 6, because the insinuation or the innuendo then was that some of these kidnappers have direct link with some security operatives. That is a very popular suspicion. In my encounter with one of the victims, he said to me that they told him he has to pay this ransom, what they want, not what he is suggesting, because they need an amount that will settle all interest groups involved in the business. According to him, they will give police, they will give army, and things like that. Now, when we talk of these security operatives, we are talking about those who are down there the ladder. Maybe those up there may not even know these things. It is important that the world should know, Nigerians should know this. Now, still on way forward, I want to suggest, Mr. President, that the issues that we are running away from, particularly the issue of state police, which we are running away from, has become the most important solution that we'll look at, because we need a synergy between the security operatives and the locals. In other words, the vigilante. In every community, if there is this synergy, if there is this partnership, it will reduce this menace drastically, because these locals, they know themselves, they know the criminals, and the hideout where they take these victims to can only be known by the locals. So this coalition is going to help a big time in solving or reducing this menace. Mr. President, to our security operatives again, I want to commend them for the role played in trying to ensure that there is no rigging there in the election, no rigging there in the election, in this town or that town. But this is where the kind of role they play is more needed. If we can have a massive deployment of security operatives to some of these flashpoints, I am telling you, these criminals will be smoked out. They will be smoked, there is no doubt about it. Because the number of operatives I see trying to help us to ensure that there is no rigging, if we can have that same number mobilized to some of these flashpoints, how many are these criminals? Because it's not all everywhere. There are selected places that this crime are being committed. Of course, it's around the country, but if they see many that are being killed, I'm telling you, they will definitely change their mind. I also want to suggest that I see some states that have passed laws, banning this, or not really banning, coming up with very harsh punishment or sanctions, like capital punishment, for instance. It's also good, it's not bad, because if somebody wants to take somebody's life, he should know that his life also will be taken. We are not saying, probably from an ecclesiastical viewpoint, that an eye for an eye is good. No, we are trying to address a challenge. So as a way forward, capital punishment should not be ruled out also. I think it's going to also help. This, Mr. President, is my own opinion, my humble opinion. And I also want to suggest improved intelligence gathering. The security operatives should also move from where they are now and go further up. Intensify intelligence gathering more than what they're doing now. Because these people communicate, they use telephone, and the service providers also. We must also ensure that nobody has a telephone number that is not registered. They made a lot of noise about that. But this seems to have gone down underground, and nothing is being done about that. I think these are some of the issues that, if they are addressed, we may be able to tackle this matter frontally. I agree that we must depart from blame game, but we should also know that it is the duty of government, primary duty of government, is the protection of lives and property. Where this is failing, government must know that it is failing in its duty to protect lives and property. There is no doubt about this. No blaming game. We mustn't play politics with this. All of us are involved in this matter. The executive, the legislature, the judiciary. So we are actually failing because we cannot provide security for Nigerians. Nigerians are not safe. People no longer go to farm, and there will be no food in the nearest future. States that are classed or classified as food basket of the nation no longer go to farm. Farmers in Taraba don't go to farm. In Benue, they don't go to farm because of activities of these bandits. In Zamfara, elsewhere. So where will the food come from? So the long effect of this is yet to face us as a nation. And I pray that we may not wake up one day and be looking for what to eat. With your money, you can't get the food to buy because nobody is going to farm. Thank you, Mr. President. I pray the Lord will deliver Nigeria.
My support and the support of my people to this very important motion brought by my very distinguished colleague and brother, Senator Shehu Sani from Kaduna State. Mr. President, I want to align myself with your wise counsel in your comments that I think what we need to be talking about is solution. But before going to the solution, Mr. President, permit me to draw the attention of my colleagues and Nigeria that the North is at war. As I am talking to you, let nobody deceive himself. There is war in the North. And unless something is done, I'm afraid the future, in the next 2-3 years, this situation might be out of control. And for those of us Nigerians, especially the elites from the North that think maybe they are taking refuge or cover in Abuja, God forbid, that might be a mirage. Because, Mr. President, these issues are far beyond what anybody maybe thinks they are. I am from Zamfara State, and I have said on several occasions on this floor, right from the time when some people thought I was playing politics to where we are today, where the realities are glaring, are staring everybody in the eyes, that Zamfara State, maybe unless something is done, in the next 2 years, there might be nobody in Zamfara State. Because as I am talking to you today, more than 75% of the people of Zamfara, male adults, cannot sleep. They don't have the comfort of sleeping with their wives or sleeping in their rooms. They don't. Everybody is out and is out, trying to guard his or her community. Women doesn't sleep and the children doesn't. Mr. President, this situation is so bad. Just yesterday, one of my constituents sent me a video, and these bandits were bold to say that this is where they are, and this is what they do, and if anybody feels he can, this is where they are, and this is where their headquarters is, they can be attacked if. Now, the horrifying thing about it is you see children of just about the age of 11 years wielding AK-47. Yes, this is it. It's no longer news. Everybody sees this and everybody knows where these things are and what is happening. Mr. President, you have already spoken my mind on the issue of Kaduna, Abuja road and the complacency of even the security agents and the politicians that have escorts, resorting to following the trend, struggling and fighting with women and children, to get a seat. It is a common knowledge today that there are tickets now on the train for standing. They are earmarked standing. So you buy a ticket and you stand all the way from Abuja to Kaduna or from Kaduna to Abuja. It is a common thing. And when you ask people, they tell you that it is better to stand from Abuja to Kaduna, and you are sure that you are reaching Kaduna or you are reaching Abuja, than to take the risk of following the road, you know, and you don't have the certainty of reaching your destination. Mr. President, I have just spoken with you now, and you graciously agree that we need to come up with a motion next week to discuss this issue of the trend. Mr. President, as I'm talking to you today, coming back to the point that the North is at war. In Zamfara alone now, there are more than maybe 3,000, 4,000, you know, victims, kidnapped victims, in the hands of these people. Nobody can do anything. Just this morning, Sheikh Husani, my distinguished friend, was telling me that the bandits issued a warning to the member representing Birningwari Federal Constituency, you know, about his habit, that when people are kidnapped, he sent a meager amount, you know, as his own contribution. And unless they don't catch him, that he should know that his days are numbered. And this is the situation with everybody. So, Mr. President, now, this thing is not reducing by the day. Why? Because it is, or it has long become a business. I have said it several times here. Anytime people talked about this issue, they talk about Fulani headsmen. I say, look, give these people the name they deserve. It is not about, yes, it could be Fulanis, you know, as the initiators. But as I'm talking to you now, it has become a business because there is technically no business in the North now. Nothing is moving. Like my brother said, I think it was Lidano or somebody. Now, Funtua Gusau axis alone, you know, can be called maybe the food basket of this side. It can feed the whole of this nation. Nobody can go to farm now. In Kaduna, people have abandoned their farms. You can't, a farm between Kaduna and the airport of Kaduna, you either go with security men that will guard you in the farm, or you don't go to farm. Then you don't talk about peasant farmers all over the place. Most of them are being abducted. Most of them are being abducted. So, Mr. President, there is serious security problem. And when we say security, we are talking about food security, because like somebody said, my brother, Senator Boacha, a day will come when you have your money to buy food, you don't have it. Maybe we would have to resort to importing food, you know, through our airports and so on and so forth. We cannot do it. So, Mr. President, this is a very, very serious problem. However, coming to the comments, I disagree totally with my brother, Senator Keita from Katsina, that employing 5 million security will be the problem. In fact, Mr. President, that is going to cause more problems. Because as I'm talking to you now, part of our problem is this. Now, all businesses in Nigeria, or let me say the North, are dead. So the only enterprise, the only thing people can do are just two. One is to join these kidnapping groups for money. Two is to force government to employ people. So we are employing people without nothing for them to do even in government. So that takes us to the next problem. That is, what are the solutions? What are the ways forward? The ways forward, the solution, Mr. President, is to fight corruption. The bottom line of all these things is corruption. Now, people help themselves, you know, when they're in government positions and so on and so forth. Now, the villagers are sitting in the village. They look at you. Maybe they know that before you join this government force or this work or political whatever, this was your status. We know people in this country that were peasants, were almajiris in 1990. Today, they are super billionaires. Their names are being mentioned even on Facebook or whatever as billionaires in themselves. We know them. They have never been into any business in this country. We know it. But they are billionaires, and nobody can question that, and nobody can say anything. So what is the next thing? You either join politics, or if you are in employment, you have to get to where maybe you can have resources and steal. And nobody is saying anything. So, Mr. President, moving forward, like I said, employment is not the solution, certainly, because we cannot employ enough security personnel that can man every community, every village, every town in Nigeria. We cannot do it. I know what I'm talking about. I know how many security personnel we used to have in Zamfara. Even the governor said it. When we used to have just about 1,000 soldiers, we are living in peace. Today we have how many thousands, and the situation keeps deteriorating. Even the Gusau, the state capital, is no longer safe. So definitely, we cannot continue to employ people, because even if we do, the people we are employing, Mr. President, are Nigerians, and they want to live a good life. They want their children and their wives to travel to Dubai for holiday. They want to attend their good schools. Now, where is the money? The monies we are going to pay them, you know, it's not sufficient. Just, I think, day before yesterday, I saw a small joke being sent to all Nigerians, that congratulations on signing of the 30,000 naira minimum wage. When it was 18,000, it was around $103. Today it is 30,000, it is $83. So, Mr. President, now where are we going to? Mr. President, I equally say no to police state. With due respect to my leader and Deputy Senate President, Mr. President, with the kind of leadership we see, the irresponsible, most of them at state levels, Mr. President, we cannot risk at this point, and I would always say it, we cannot risk state police, because it will be a recipe for total war or total degeneration of law and order. Yes, we have seen it. We have seen it happen during elections. Governors that cannot defend a village, you know, are ready to deploy all the resources of the state, everything, men, material, money, and everything, you know, to defend their success in the ballot box. So we cannot, that is not the answer. Mr. President, the answer to these things, like I said, going forward, Mr. President, is to look at these issues holistically, come out and fight corruption. Let us name them. This is a country where, Mr. President, a Minister of Defense came out to say, from the state he comes from, that the security problems or some emirs are being indicted. But he cannot mention names. Are we waiting, or is he waiting to become president before he can say it is so-so emir and so-so emir? And since that day to date, no emir, even the emirs came out to say that we challenge you, name the names. Give us the names. The names are not there. The only thing, within about a week or so, some wretched village heads, 2 of them, were either sacked, suspended, or I don't even know what they did. So, Mr. President, like you rightly said, we need to, at some certain levels in life, you should be able to come out and say something and stand by it and defend it. So who are the people that have a hand in this thing? This thing is no longer anything, it is a business. Now, and it has 2 motives. Number 1 is to bring the North to its knees. And I think we have already reached that. Because there is nothing happening. Maybe if you take Kano out, there is nothing happening anywhere in the North today. Nothing. Where I come from, Gusau, the state capital, we don't even need to, in fact, a lot of us didn't even know government exists in Sokoto at that time. We have businesses to do. But the answer today is no. Everybody relies on government to do these things.
Round up.
As a Senate, Mr. President, if we want to come with measures, let us come with measures to fight corruption, criminalize, or once again recriminalize corruption and set standards and you know, make people to follow them and now insist that if you do this or this, this is your reward or this is this. And those people that are doing these things, especially the informants living with us in our towns, everybody knows them. But the issue is you don't dare mention their names. You do it, you are dead tomorrow. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm taking leverage of the fact that you said this is a very serious issue. So, and I think we need to say what it is. So, Mr. President, thank you so much. But I want to say, you know, in moving forward about this things, now we have to be bold. We need to come out and say who are the people, especially, forget the criminals in the bush are not as half deadly as the ones living with us in the cities. And we know it. And they are our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our sisters, and everybody knows them. We need to come out and say who they are. And we need to come out with ways of fighting this issue before it gets too late. Thank you, Mr.
A reoccurring issue in this Senate. Mr. President, you will recall that there is no 1 week a motion of this nature do not come up for discussion. And I heard Mr. President say, look, we should be a little bit more serious in this matter. We should prefer solutions. And there's no need telling long tales anymore. Mr. President, I don't know what next this Senate needs to do. Under your leadership, there was a national retreat on security, and you drafted the key drivers of our security architecture. Parliament couldn't proceed doing any other thing other than to hold this retreat. Conclusions were reached. A subcommittee was set up to study all the contributions and make appropriate recommendations. One we want to ask, where did we go from there? Has anything been done? If nothing has been done, why? We cannot come here every time, violence, security, and all that and all that. I thought that may have given us that opportunity to do what we needed to do. Having said that, Mr. President, it is said in my own local area that when people are carrying a corpse along the way, you will think that it's a bundle of wood. Until it gets to you, then you know that it's a corpse. Many years ago, many months down the line, we have brought the case of Niger Delta, and in particular River State. These things that I'm hearing here, and continue to hear better every week, has been there with us in River State. And it's like, it's not a serious matter. Now it has gone wrong. I want to make bold to say this, Mr. President. In 2004, people like Senator Aduda, Philip Aduda, they were there with us. And I sponsored a motion on National Youth Development Program. It was intended to address some of these issues. At that time, I wasn't a prophet of doom, but I imagined that if nothing was done as far back as 2004, when the youth in Niger Delta were ravaging everywhere, kidnapping, maiming, it will go around this country. Because one thing that I know youth know best what to do is to emulate. The demonstration effect has caught up everywhere in this country. I'm sorry to say, His Excellency, Governor Masari was the speaker. That bill, after the second reading also, because of expiration of time and all that, didn't see the light of day. Because who are the key drivers of this process, of these killings, this violence? The youths. What do they have? They have two important assets: idle time and a lot of energy. And it is also said, an idle brain is the devil's workshop. Until our youths are engaged, Mr. President, this problem will continue to be with us. That is one. Two, let us be realistic. I am saying this based on what I heard Mr. President say. Our lifestyle laid foundation for all this. Mr. President, when we look back, say people like me, we own 3, 4, 5 vehicles. And I'm sure we can do much better with 2. Our contemporaries in UK or US, do they really own 4 vehicles on the road? Suppose we dispose of our 2 vehicles and use the proceeds to set up a small industry. Wouldn't we be engaging 5 youths? And 5 youths, and there are about 1 million people like me, will be taken away from the street. More than 5 million youths up the highway, up our countryside, and engaging them in very productive purposes. Some of us own houses in our village, in the urban center, and in Abuja. Do we need all this? This is what wrong economic policies that led us into doing. And we laid the foundation over the years. And today, we are facing the realities of our time. Therefore, where do we go from here? If we tackle the symptoms I do not think that we will make any much progress. The most we can do is to have a long-range plan. And that long-range plan is to find a way to come up with appropriate economic policies that will engage these idle hands. For example, I'm talking from experience. Mr. President, I had the opportunity of serving my state as the managing director of the River State government-owned oil palm company called Zamfara. At its height, we were having only 14,000 hectares. And I had in my employ 4,200 youths. And they were well paid, well catered for, and very happy. Because the pay was a little bit okay, they were accommodated, they were given decent accommodation. Mr. President, we can do this in virtually 12 states of this country. And we'll be taking away 5,000 youths times 12 in the 12 states that are agricultural, that are suitable for oil palm development. And this is a very simple approach. Can we do it? Can we have the political will to do that? And of course it's there. And this parliament is in a position to do all this. Until we go and ensure that these idle hands are engaged, Mr. President, we will continue to face this situation. Thank you very much.
Sending my condolences to the families of the bereaved, and proceed from there by saying that I wish to thank my brother, Senator Shehu Sani, for bringing this motion. A lot has been said, Mr. President, on this topic. But let me start by saying that my senatorial district shares boundary with Zamfara State, with Kaduna State, and that as I speak to you, about 40 to 50% of the land mass of my constituency is under siege by these bandits. And some of the fallout of the activities in Zamfara State actually make it possible for these bandits to come to my senatorial district. Some of the areas affected have been mentioned in the motion, but there is a lot more. Mr. President, what is really worrying about this phenomenon is the fact that every day these bandits are conscripting more and more collaborators among the populace and even amongst the security agencies that have been sent, to help protect the communities. We have reports of even married women acting as informants for these kidnappers. Now, what should be the solution? Part of the problem is that even the soldiers that are sent, you find that they are not provided with logistics. I have had, to help out, even buying tires for the vehicles of some of these security agencies that have been sent. So it's as bad as that. And the state government has not helped matters because they do nothing to help provide funds for this security, particularly the army. So why does that lead us to? That makes those soldiers to be even vulnerable. And some of them find that as an excuse to collaborate with the kidnappers. Mr. President, I think the only way we can find solution to this problem is to look at it holistically, like it has been said. We must devise short-term goals and long-term solutions. Talking about fighting corruption, there is nowhere in the world that you have had corruption stamped out overnight. This is going to take a long time. But I think what is most important, Mr. President, is to engage again we should never be tired of that, the security agencies, with the aim of establishing special force, call it by whatever name, National Guard or whatever, so that they will have special units in these forests, because that's where the problem is. These bandits have taken residence in all the forests. In Alawa, there is one village, one forest they call Dajingomna. Between Kaduna, the Kamuku forest, which stretches from Kaduna down to part of Niger and also into Zamfara. This is where you find these bandits. They have made that place their abode. Even kidnappers when they do their kidnapping, they send their victims into those forest camps within the forest. And the security agencies or the soldiers don't even go that far. Another problem, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is the fact that every now and then we talk about soldiers. We want soldiers to go, and find solution to this problem. But we forget that while we are doing that, you're making the soldier or the army, you're making them move away from their traditional responsibility, which is protecting the territorial integrity of this nation, and getting them to be performing roles that actually shouldn't be their role. So that is why there's the need to establish a special force that will address this problem. I wouldn't want to take more time, but to thank Mr. President and distinguished colleagues for this opportunity to speak on this issue. Thank you very much.
None of the departed soul. I think we've already done this. So, prayer 2, urge the security authorities to intensify the search for the perpetrators and bring them to book. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge your government to set up interagency task force to tackle cases of banditry and kidnapping in Kaduna, Katsina, Zamfara and Niger States. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, urge security agencies to give special security cover to foreign workers and tourists. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Prayer 5, urge security agencies to immediately deploy the use of drones and interceptors in tracking kidnappers asking for ransom. Those in favor of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 6, urge community leaders, traditional rulers, and all stakeholders to cooperate with security agencies. Those in favor of prayer 6 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 7, urge telecommunication companies to provide security agencies with information in areas where there are kidnappers. Those in favor of prayer 7 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 8, urge the Senate to send a delegation to the embassy and condole the British government. Those in favor of prayer 8 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 9, urge the federal government to write a condolence letter to the family of Mr. Faye Moni. Prayer 9, yes, DSP. In favor of prayer 9 say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Address a holistic approach. I thought we should have had a prayer to also do in line with some of the work we have done so far. If you remember, as a writer, we had done a retreat, we had done a report, and we had done a few recommendations. And if you can recollect, we even invited the heads of the security agencies here and directed them to submit to us what their needs were. And there was no response to date. So what I think is that we should pick it up from here. As we say, we should not get discouraged. I think one of the recommendations is to go back and re-engage them, that in view of where we are, whether again we should find a way of our committees to re-engage the heads of the security agencies. DSP, yeah.
Now that we have a